फोन जैन का
फोन ए फोन लो
वीडियो
कोयलापुर आवाज भी करना
everyone, this is Manmohan here. Glad to be back with you all once again. This year we have been trying to do great things, and today is the step in the right direction again for us. Before we move on to the product launch, let's take a step back and let's relook at what POCO stands for. Here at POCO, we stand for three things. Number one, technology that truly matters. We only focus on those features which make a difference to your product. And how do we do that? Is by democratizing decision making. We constantly are on the lookout for your feedback and your inputs to talk about and to create new products. And lastly, because of this, we are constantly evolving. This belief seems to have worked. And probably because of this, we are now the number one smartphone brand on Flipkart in the segment 15,000 and above. And not just that, we are the number one quality smartphone brand in the country. From the very beginning, POCO has been focused on India as a market. Now, because of this, we have delivered what all the POCO fans in India really need. And hence the tagline, everything you need and nothing you don't. Before we move on to the product, we also have a fun entertainment contest just for all the POCO fans out there. We have 5 simple questions with 5 very simple answers. So all the POCO fans who have joined us via the live stream can answer these questions on Twitter with the hashtags POCOC3 and hashtag the gamechangr. So to the first question, a very simple question, which is the number one brand on Flipkart in the segment 15,000 and above. So let's cut to the chase now. I'm extremely excited to be launching the next device from POCO, the gamechangr, POCOC3. Now to talk about this device, let's welcome Mr. Anuj Sharma, Country Director, POCO India.
Thank you, Mancho. Now we are talking about the POCOC3. There's an intentional C3 to it, and obviously the C stands for camera, and this is the triple camera setup that you get. So let's get straight into what this triple camera setup can do. Starting with the primary camera, you've got a 13 megapixel shooter. Now this one turns out really good images which are bright and colorful. Let's take a look at a couple of samples which showcase what this camera can do. Now the first thing that we wanted to really capture is how do people come through. In today's times, it's really tough to do so. So these are the best examples of, I guess, people photography that we could find. Anyways, what you can obviously see is the entire vibrancy of this image. The colors as well as the overall detailing here is brilliant. Not to mention the sharpness. If you go behind the subjects and take a look at the stadium that's there, even the sharpness from there has been completely preserved. Now the second camera I want to talk about is the 2 megapixel macro camera. Now I absolutely love macro cameras because it lets you get really close to the subject and see things in a completely new light. Here's a sample of a fruit that I'm sure a lot of you guys love. Now, this is a kiwi fruit, but the amazing part about this camera is you can see the entire detailing. From the seeds to the pulp of the fruit, as well as the outer skin, which I incidentally called trichomes, and you can see each and every so-called trichome or hair follicle of this entire fruit. So now let's take a look at another macro sample. And this is something that we use almost on a daily basis. These are pencils, and of course these ones are color pencils. We wanted to show you 2 things here. One is the detailing, right from the pencil tip all the way to the wood. All the detailing has been preserved perfectly, but also the fact that with the macro camera you're getting a color output like this one. And that's something that differentiates the POCOC3 from other phones in and around its class. And now let's get to the 3 or the third camera of the C3. And this one, of course, is a depth camera that lets you take great portrait shots. And the portrait shots don't have to be just people, but objects as well. Let's take a look at this particular example of a perfect portrait shot of this cricket trophy. Incidentally, this probably is our first trophy at POCO, and we're really proud of this one. But what you can also see is the detailing and the sharpness that's been preserved of this batsman in front, as well as the edge detection and the beautiful depth to the background. And that's exactly what you want when you're putting a third camera there, which is helping you take better portraits. Now that sums up the three cameras that you have on the POCO C3. The first one was a 13 megapixel main shooter, and you saw what it could do. Second is the macro, which I absolutely love. The third one is for portrait shots, and that's the depth camera. Now on their own, they are brilliant cameras. But let's also take a look at how do they really compare with the competition. Now, both these shots were taken at the same time, as you can see from the clock there, as well as under same conditions. It is overcast in Bangalore, and that sometimes makes photography really tricky. And of course, you can see the C15 camera kind of struggling to capture the colors as well as the details in this case. But the magic actually is if you zoom in a little bit, and there's a small plant right in front in the middle of the frame. Once you zoom in, you're able to see even more difference in the camera. On the POCO C3, this plant and its leaves have been captured perfectly. You can see the colors and the details, while on the C15 that starts to become a little fuzzy. Another image of a mural. Now this one is really important to get the colors right, because this is hand painted, and whenever you're capturing something like this, you want the colors and the details preserved if you are to share this. Here you can see a massive difference between different devices. Not only is the POCO C3 better at the color reproduction part, even all the details are much more clearer, better preserved on the POCO C3. That brings me to the end of the camera section. Three amazing cameras that you can make maximum use of. Now let's move on to one more question, and that is question number 2. The POCO C3 comes with a dash setup to meet all your photography needs. Was it one camera setup, two camera setup, or was it a triple camera setup? Put in your answers with the hashtag POCO C3 and hashtag gamechangr. Get a chance to be one of the 15 winners of the brand new POCO C3. Now let's move on to the next aspect of the POCO C3, the design. How does the C3 look? Well, it definitely looks very POCO. It comes with a signature two-tone pattern that you've come to expect from the brand. And of course, we've done that on multiple other models as well. But not just that, you also get this amazing texture. It improves the overall hand feel. The grip is improved, as well as it reduces the overall fingerprints and the smudges that you have on other devices. And for the camera layout, we all heard you. You love the camera setup on the POCO M2 Pro. Not just the texture and the two-tone pattern, we've also borrowed the camera layout from the loved M2 Pro. So you have the symmetrical square design that goes perfectly with the POCO C3. Now the POCO C3 comes in three amazing colors. You've got the Arctic blue, you've got a lime green, which is an amazing fusion of green and blue, and then of course the much loved matte black also makes its way onto the POCO C3. Now coming on to one of the most important aspects of a smartphone, the display. So let's talk about the POCO C3 display. Now why do I say it's really important? Because 2020 has changed a lot of user behavior, largely on smartphones. In fact, all of us are using our smartphones up to 12% more than last year. But the biggest impact has been on e-learning. In fact, 84% of students are using smartphones for digital education today in India. Almost 60% of students are spending 4+ hours every day on e-learning with extended usage hours, and your e-learning depending on smartphones. This display is really important. What you need is a big enough display that you can take in all this information from, and that's exactly what we've got on the POCO C3. In fact, the POCO C3 comes with a large 6.53-inch display, and this display is a HD plus display as well. So you are assured of both the resolution as well as the size on the POCO C3. If you think this is a big display, well, yes it is, but it's not really. The reason is it comes with a 20:9 tall aspect
क्या 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 बोले
लेके जाना होगा आके फिर से जेरॉक्स कहीं तो जेरॉक्स का भी नहीं है जेरॉक्स का भी नहीं है
बस मैं डाला दूँ आजाद गिलास ला लो वाला मेमो ला ले जाओ ना पूरा कंप्लीट कर लेते हैं
क्या हुआ
One of the 15 POCOC3s. Now the POCOC3 also comes with amazing performance. At 2.3 gigahertz. Now that's a lot of performance packed into this. And not just on the CPU side, even the GPU is super clocked at 680 megahertz. So all of that combined gives you phenomenal performance. And we are combining this performance with up to 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage. So you have a lot of headroom when it comes to overall performance with the POCOC3. Now, if you want and more headroom for the years to come. And all of that combined gives you a rock solid performance. Now, G35 has been a competition favorite as well. In fact, if you look at 3 devices here, which is the C11, C12 and C15, they are all using the Helio G35. So we can be rest assured that the performance will be decent. However, what starts varying with the competition is how much memory is available. As you saw, the POCOC3 comes in 3GB and 4GB variants. When you look at C11, you only get 2GB, while the POCOC3 offers 3 and 4GB variants. You can only get that on the Realme C15, not C11, not C12, just the C15. Now we've talked about that display and we've talked about the performance. Well, of course, the next part has to be prolonged gaming. And this is where the POCOC3 starts to really shine. Well, for one, this is where the POCOC3 starts to really shine. Well, for one,